Good morning, one. Good morning, all. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. RT Bear here. How is everyone this morning? I hope everybody's doing good and having a good morning. It is getting cold here in Texas, freezing cold. Last 2 nights we've had freeze. I think we're going to have it pretty much all week. I think tonight we get a little bit of a break. I think it's only going to get to 35 tonight. So I think 32 is freezing. So I'm only really concerned about that damn pool. Everything else is pretty much under control. But the darn pool, man, if that thing freezes and I break a pipe, it's not good. Not good at all. It's not cheap. Nothing's cheap anymore. Thanks, Joe Biden, you son of a bitch. I'm fired up, man. I'm in a good mood because the Black and White Sins of the Father campaign is heating up, baby. We are 4 days out from closing that bad boy. And we dropped the D. We dropped the D last night, or yesterday, actually. And that D is the John Malin cover. And I think we got close to 40 backers already on that. I think we got 36 backers. I'm not sure if those are all for we got 40 backers yesterday, but I'm not sure they're all for the John Malin cover. I just counted all the backers that we got. So I think we're one backer away from 23K, I think it is. So yeah, things are going really, really good. It would bring a lot of joy to this old heart of mine if we could close it around 25K. We got 4 days to do that. Yeah, things are a little tight right now. I understand. So if I go into demand with the book, I could possibly make this all work, but pretty much 25K will pay for the book itself without any profit. And when I mean profit, I mean, pay for overhead, take care of the T-Bear, our elaborate lifestyle for another year. Our crazy, abusive, privileged lifestyle that we live here in the woodlands. Actually, we don't live a bad life. I'm just kidding, but I think we live pretty humble. We live pretty humble. We don't get crazy here. But let's see. These live streams, these morning hullaballoos, always depend on input from you guys. So please feel free to ask me questions and just we'll go back and forth. Otherwise, quite honestly, I don't have a show. You guys basically create the show every time we do it. So it's all up to you. So we got Arch Geek, the Arch Geek. Hey, Art. We got Catalyst Vault. Morning, Art. We got the Crazy Cat. Hey, thanks. We were on Dan Frega's, and you talked about Katie Did's live stream last night. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's always fun to hang out with Katie, and then Dan Lawless came in a little later, and we got to hang out. And I have been on streams with Dan before, and I've talked to him just like typing privately, but I haven't really spent a lot of time with him. Just kind of one-on-one in a live stream, and it was fun. I felt like I got to get to know Dan a little bit more. He's a great guy, man. He's very, very generous. I like generous people. I like people that smile easy. I like people that laugh easy. People that just kind of put you at ease. I've always tried to be that person. If somebody's struggling, whatever, that I'll kind of try to make it easy on them, and so we can have a conversation, things like that. So I do really appreciate generous people, generous with compliments, just stuff like that. And Dan is definitely one of those kind of people, and I do really appreciate that there are people like that in the world. So it's very cool. So, and also that cash grab cover that he did for Cecil with King Trump. My gosh, it's so amazing. And he gave me a little bit more insight on the cover I didn't know about. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Katie's a lot of fun. It's pretty laid back, so you can talk about just about it, just about anything. So yeah, you guys, Crazy Cat is earning his wrench privilege. And yeah, you guys go back. We're one backer. We're going to get into that, but one backer away from that 23K. I'll double check it. We'll go over there and make sure, but I believe so. What does Crazy Cat say? I feel like you, Art, John Malin, and Dan Frega are all Extreme Studios brethren. You guys should do covers for each other regularly. Yeah, I would like it. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it. There's a lot I still want to do with this sketch. So it's still, you gotta, it's still work in progress, but I'm going to show it off. I want to do more of those things. Do more cover work, things like that. I kind of, I don't know. I got the bug for it. I want to stay focused on black and white as well. Get as much done as I can. Moving forward. But I got a few commissions with the Oodles of Doodles and Other Stuff Too campaign, so I'm working on those on the side, and it's bringing me joy. It's bringing me joy. So this is what I'm working on now. And so I just scanned this in yesterday. I didn't have a lot of time to draw yesterday. So this is my take on Kit Carson. Actually, I'm sorry. I always say Carson. I mean Kit Carter. Kit Carter. Space Babe. So yeah, this is my doodle. This is all like inked in. Sometimes I like to just kind of riff off of the pencils if I feel it, and I'll throw some ink on there. So this is some of you guys go, it's pretty much done, but it's still work in progress for me. The face I'm not 100% on, and I think I want to tilt, like she's a little too straight up and down. And the camera is tilted, but I felt like, well, she's floating in the air over this like alien landscape, and I'm trying to do like an alien kind of like Mobius kind of landscape, otherworld kind of ish. So I still need to do a little bit of research on that, and kind of make it all work. But I want to angle her a little bit more, like I guess like this, because the horizon is here. So she's a little too, like I said, straight up and down. So she's a little too this. So I want to angle it a little bit. And what the heck? Let me get rid of this thing. There it is. Okay. Yeah. So there's still a little bit of work on this, and then I'm going to print it 11 by 17. I was going to blue line it, but I think I'm going to print it, and then I'm gonna transfer it down on artboard and then ink it up. And so this is the Kit Carter commission. So I think this is the last commission I have from the Oodles, but I'm enjoying it. So I am going to do another a cover fairly soon. I'll blow it up just because I can, so you guys can see all the white out. Yeah, like when I'm inking, sometimes it's easier for me to see the mistakes when it's hard lined in ink. So you can see I whited out the hand and I redrew it. Her little holster, I did the same. So I had an alternate kind of gun design, but I did change the suit a little bit, but the gun is very iconic, so I'm going to keep the gun. I just kind of wanted to do my take on Aaron Lopresti's character. So yeah, so this is what I'm working on right now. So yeah, I wasn't going to show that off. I still got a lot of work to do. But yeah, So what John and I did, John Malin and I, is I asked him, I said, John, could you do a black and white cover? He said, sure. And I said, how much would you charge me? And he said, let's just do a trade. He said, you do a godlike cover, I'll do a black and white cover. So this is kind of getting me into like, yeah, maybe I should do or could do covers for, some of the other CG guys if they want, I mean, I don't know if they even like my work, to be honest. So it would be interesting to do. So I owe John Malin a godlike cover. And so John did an amazing cover for black and white. So you know what? I'm going to show the campaign, get some juices flowing, and see what you think. So this is Black and White Sins of the Father. Like I said, let me hit this refresh just to see. 315. Yeah, we are one backer away from 23K. That means that we'll only have 2,000 to get to that stretch goal. So I would like to close out at the very least that 25K. We all have to have goals, so that's the goal I'm going to work towards, and hopefully you guys can help me get there. Even if you've backed, you can, I don't know, just tweet it out, exit out, use your social media and help get the word out. I would definitely appreciate it. This is all guerrilla marketing, and I say it all the time, but I mean, it's not hyperbole, where I am nothing without you guys. I mean, really, the only reason Black and White Sins of the Father exists is because of you guys. You are the market. You are the ones that I am doing this for. You have to have an audience. You have to have somebody that, supports your work, and you guys have, and then some. So I really, really do appreciate you guys. More than you could ever know. So let's play the video here. This is the video. He killed it. Woo! That's right. Yeah, you guys, 30 years of black and white. So we started in 1994, Image Comics, Extreme Studios, and Rob gave me the go-ahead to create something of my own. I was working at Extreme after Marvel, and I was just like whatever the editors at Extreme wanted me to do, whatever Rob wanted me to do, I did. I didn't really have any clear goals. Quite frankly, I was burnt out. When I started at Image Comics, I was burnt. And so Extreme was kind of a haven where I could do covers. I could do not huge jobs like, interiors, things like that. I could do, one and done covers, things like that, and get paid really well. So I didn't have to do volume, which was at that moment, it was really good. It was really good for me. And so, but after I kind of, recovered from those crazy X-Men Marvel days, we were working 24/7 on those books. It was a lot of work, time, energy, burning candle at both ends. And it was worth it. We made, we as in Jim Lee, Wills Portaccio, myself and Scott Williams, I believe we made some great comics. I do think the combined efforts of all four of us changed the face of comics for at least the next 10 years. There were people emulating the style we were working in. They called it the West Coast look, the West Coast style. And so it was pretty flattering, and it was a good time, but it was a lot of work. And so when Image, happened, and I started working at Extreme, it was it was nice. Also, we had just bought the house, so we were moving. There was a lot of things going on, and so yeah, I was pretty exhausted. So it was good, but after a while settling in at Extreme, Rob's a really cool guy. I've known Rob for a long time. Rob and I believe I know that I knew Rob, but no, no, no. Let me clarify. We met before we started working professionally. So I knew Rob as a rookie, and Rob knew me as a rookie. So I think I was just starting to work with Jim Valentino, helping him out in the studio, assisting him, things like that when I met Rob. And so Rob was just a kid. I was young, but Rob was a kid. And so we do conventions together, things like that, hang out. And so I knew him before we started working professional, before we started working professionally. So we knew each other pretty well. And so yeah, he just came up. He said, I don't think you're really happy just doing the stuff you're doing. He said, what would make you happy? And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, what if you had your own book? And I didn't. It's so weird. Like I didn't really have any ambitions going into Extreme or Image Comics. I was just kind of like, I'll be a supporting role, kind of how I've always been with you guys. So whatever you want me to do, I'll do. Like I said, I didn't really have any goals. I didn't go, well, I'm gonna join Image Comics and start creating my own books and take over the world. It wasn't like that. And so thank goodness Rob said something, because I don't know what would have happened. I would just kept doing the same old, and black and white would never exist. But he did. He said, how about creating your own book? And so I think that spark just got me going. And so he said, do you have anything? And I said, no, I don't. I don't have any ideas. He said, well, come up with some ideas, and then you run them by me. And so I did. I hung out with my wife Pamela, my sounding board, my creative partner, and we just started talking. And so we went to we had I think you have to. I don't know how it worked, but I think you have to be invited or something. It was a Bruce Lee auction, a state auction actually, and Linda Lee was there, and their daughter Bruce Lee had, or Brandon, I should say, had just passed. So this was about the time of the Crow movie, the first movie, and all that stuff. And so we went there, and I went there specifically to get from the Green Hornet TV show, throwing. It was like a hornet dart that Bruce Lee as Kato would use on the show, and I dug that thing. And so I think it was at the auction. It started at $800. So I was like, foolishly, I was like, I can afford that. It did not stay at 800 for very long. But anyway, long story short, I didn't get my dart. But we're driving home, and I was talking to Pamela about what Rob had said. So then we start talking, and so the Green Hornet and Kato was definitely on our minds because of the auction. And so black and white was kind of that Green Hornet Kato combo. So black is kind of very loosely modeled after the Green Hornet, and then white is loosely modeled after Kato. So, but I wanted to do something, because like the Green Hornet is just called Green Hornet, and then Kato is like the sidekick. I wanted to do something where they were more equal partners, which, by the way, is not easy to write. It's way easier to write one lead guy and a sidekick, but two equal partners in a team is a little tougher. So we started, like, well, he's the guy, what if we had like a female, Bruce Lee? What if we had like this karate, kick-ass fighter, but she was a female? And so that's how, the black and white, and then the dynamic, like, well, she's Chinese, so the yin yang started, like symbols, things like that. And actually, we came up with the name, the yin yang, black and white, male, female, and we came up with the tagline, which was, in a world where law and order is often blurred to gray, justice can only be black and white. So we came up with the tagline at the same time. So that was all the drive coming home. And then we have a friend. He's at the time he was editing at DC Comics. His name's John Peterson, and he came and he stayed with us for a while. He's a New Yorker, so he came and he stayed at the house for a while. And so, as an editor, creative guy, we just start talking about this stuff as well. So he says, I came up with that Reed would be British. He would be like James Bond. And he says, I came up with the idea. I think he did. He's a very generous guy. But he swears that I came up with it. So then, excuse me, we came up with that. So he's a retired, at the time it was like he was a retired MI6 agent. And then so we were kind of like, well, what's a higher ranking than MI6? So like he's a tougher guy than or more badass than James Bond. So we came up with MI10. And at the time, we didn't even really know if there was an MI10. We just kind of liked the way it sounded. And so this new version of black and white, he is still MI10. And I did do some research, and MI10 was a real thing. It was during the war, the Second World War, maybe the first and second, but I know for sure the Second World War. And it was R&D. It was research and development. It was the tech division of MI6. So they created weapons and different things like that. So I was like, holy shit, this fits right in. So since this new version of black and white is future tense story, I was like, that's perfect, man. So what if MI10, like the future version of MI10, let's just say MI10 kept going, or they resurrected it later on. Since this is all fantasy anyway, I was like, what if it's a robotic division? So what if MI10 in the future was like they resurrected the R&D from the wartime, and it was more of like it was still weapons and all that, but it was more like the robots division. So we came up with anti-robotics division. So they're basically the police of the world to fight against illegal robots. So sentient robots are illegal in this reality, this fantasy. And so, people using robots, programming them to do evil, things like that. So I thought there would be a need for a police force, a division of MI6 that would go out there and basically police the world against illegal robots. And so Reed got very, very good at it. And so he was good at profiling robots and taking them down. So he was like the best of the best as far as a robot fighter. And I always liked Magnus, the robot fighter. So I was like, okay, this new version of Reed Blackett, he'll be like a killer robot fighter. So there's going to be there are a lot of robot battles, and we'll continue to have a lot of robot battles in this new black and white moving forward. So volumes 1 and 2 had robot run-ins, and this one will do the same. Although Sins of the Father is going to have a lot of like supernatural aspects to it. So the campaign is 64-page story. And this one's called Sins of the Father. It's a 2-part story. So 3 and 4 We'll get into the sins of the father. Basically, it's going to be the origin story of Reed Blackett. So where 1 and 2 kind of focused on Whitney Sung, aka White, this one is going to focus more on Reed and his backstory. So he comes from a lineage, a family of spies, and they were all MI10. And so we're going to find out backstory. We hinted on a lot of the stuff in volumes 2. Actually, 1 and 2. There's probably 1 is more of the hinting at his backstory. So you realize that he had a father, Alexander, and that he died under mysterious circumstances, and that Brooks Gray, who was Alexander's partner at MI10, so he was a weapons developer, things like that. But he also worked really close with Reed's father, Alexander. And so he was kind of entrusted in raising Reed. Also, they needed to keep Reed kind of hidden. That's going to come out in this story. So there's a lot of detail that we just hinted upon, but didn't get into it too much in volumes 1 and 2, but we will with Sins of the Father. So after saying that, you probably understand the Sins of the Father title a little bit more. So it really has to do with Alexander, Reed's father. So we're going to get into that, and you're going to there's going to be supernatural elements to this. So we're going to have the high-tech elements with the robot battles, stuff like that. But we're also going to have, this supernatural twist to this story. So these preview pages kind of get into it. You can see the juju pages in the jungle. That's the supernatural angle. And then, the big page 6 there. We're still going to have robot battles. So it's going to be great, you guys. It's going to be all over the place, but in the best of ways. So I'm really excited about this story. The artwork that we're putting together is absolutely fantastic. Like we did with volume 2, volume 3, we'll have the high octane adventures. So this is the one and done animated style book that Pedro Ang puts together for these campaigns. And this stuff looks fantastic. So like I said, these are one and done. So there is continuity to this world and the high octane stuff, but it's not like the main books. The main books are definitely one, goes right into the next. It's very sequential. These are definitely like one and done adventures that you can just get in, enjoy, and then get out. So this is going to be an absolutely fun story. Pedro and I broke the story, and Pedro's putting it all together right now. So back High Octane 2. We have High Octane 1 featured as well, but it's in a very limited tier because we overprinted, but not by a whole lot. So get 1 and 2. Here's some of the interiors by Pedro. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Pedro's a good friend. I could call him a friend, and he's just a brilliant talent. And just, he's fun to work with. I like fun guys that are just creative, and he's definitely one of them. So here it is, man. This is going to lead us to the new installment, the new addition to this campaign. So I've been teasing for almost 2 months 4 jaw-dropping covers, but I've only shown you three of these jaw-dropping covers. So we dropped the D yesterday, and so the D stands for John Malin. And so we got the John Malin cover that we added yesterday. And like I said, we got almost 40 backers yesterday. That is crazy good. I'm hoping we can continue with that. Because if we can get to that 25K, and we can close the live aspects of the campaign with 25K, and that will be a good a good start going into demand. So, like I said earlier, 25 pretty much just pays for the campaign. It pays for the book and all the stretch goals and things like that. So all the vendors, the stretch goal items, and then the printing. So so check this thing out, man. John Malin coming through. We got Brian on colors, so Brian just killed it like he always does. He also did the color work on this Carlo Barberi cover, the number C or the letter C book, which also kicks ass. This campaign has 4 killer covers. I have to say, like, I'm really happy with the covers that I contributed, which is the A and B. The B cover is your favorite. You guys have really supported that thing, so I appreciate that. And this Malin cover looks like it might be the standout as well, with the way it's going so far. So anyways, you guys, yeah, we dropped the John Malin cover. It's doing really well. So if you could, yeah, and haven't backed the Malin cover, please do so. Like I said, we're only 4 days out. So time is running out for this campaign. So here's the B cover. You can see a little bit better. We got Lord Fakin there. We got Juju. Those are the 2 main big bads in this storyline. And so you can see the supernatural aspects here. We got zombie warriors from all different timelines. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to draw. And then we got the Carlo Barberi cover, which, man, he totally got the designs, everything, man. He just made it work. So I got to ink him again, which was a lot of fun. And so then we have the Ta-Da cover, the D cover, which is the John Malin addition to this campaign. So thank you, John, if you're listening. You nailed it, brother. And then we got the power gloves there. We got the power gloves, which we will hopefully have time to get into with the second part of this book. And then if you guys original artwork, we got some original covers here, and we added a page so you guys can back one of the interior pages. I brought down some of the prices on these because I know that it's a little tough right now, economically. So these are definitely priced to sell, the interior as well. So we don't have the John Malin cover. I wanted to ink that originally, but John just did such a good job with his line art. I couldn't fathom putting ink over it. So also, just to be honest, I thought it was done. I thought he gave me a finished cover, and then I showed him the colors. He goes, "Weren't you going to ink this?" And I'm like, "It looked like it was already inked, man. Like, what would I have brought to this thing?" And so that was that. So the B cover is sold, you guys. So I should probably put a sold sign on it or something. And so then with the jam, you guys, you can get this fantastic full bleed Juju print. This thing looks so freaking killer. It's the only place you can get this version of the Juju print. And it's 11 by 17. So it's fantastic. And so then we did get to the stretch goal. So 20K, we got this fantastic trading card, the 30th commemorative trading card. And at 25K, you guys will get that sticker. We'll get that cool sticker for you guys. And if you have backed the Hack Shack campaigns in the past, you know that these stretch goal items are so freaking cool. So let's keep backing. Let's get these stretch goals unlocked and get you guys some more goodies. And so I was real happy with this 30th anniversary logo that I came up with. 30 connected to the gun sight. Yeah, I think it's clever anyway, but what do I know? It sounds weird when you talk about your own work that way. But yeah, you guys, this is the campaign. If you like what you see, come by, back it. There's always room for more. And like I said, we're one backer away from 23K. So that's my pitch. Let's see what you guys are saying. I saw this first. Apex says, my jaw hurts from dropping. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. Let me back up. I want to get each and every one of your comments here. All right. Wow. You guys have been going. I guess I was talking for a long time. It's what I do. It's what I do. It's what I do that defines me. Literally, it is. So my name's Art. So my artwork defines me. I smile hard, Art, real hard. RT Bug. I don't know what that means, Wilbur. Yeah, it's Kit Carter. I know. It's not Conroy. Kid Conroy. You know what? I do, and I mess up my brain all the time. I like kind of making fun of names and stuff. So I notoriously say the wrong name all the time. But then what that does is it programs it into my head. So then when I get in a situation where there's a lot of things going on, I'll just go back into like however I usually refer to it. I don't call John Malin John Mainline, though. I kid around. John says the Malin cover is something special. It is something special. Crazy Cat says you had a lot of strong opinions about those panel borders yesterday. Yeah, it seems to. Well, you know what? Everybody does. There are people that are like real strong about like don't put we're talking about page 5. It was a page that I showed off on Katie. Actually, Dan Lawless is the one that showed it off, and so I showed it to the Kings in the Kings green room, and so I do like input, and so one of the things is Graham Nolan always gives me great input on the stuff, and so he said it's a little hard to delineate. It's a 3-panel page, so the insets, it's a little hard to delineate those from the middle panel. I said you may want to put a border around it. So I was thinking, I had thought about putting a border around it, but there's one thing is I kind of like panels that overlap other panels, but not necessarily have a border around them. And so to me, it implies like things are happening quicker. Like one moment is just bleeding into the next moment, into the next moment. So that's why I didn't do it initially. But I did start thinking about it, and it is a little hard to delineate the panels. So I started talking about it on a live stream, and the next thing I know, everybody has got an opinion. And so right now, it actually is leaning more towards not putting the borders around it, just leaving it as is. So, I don't have to make the decision right now, but I'm definitely going back and forth as far as, all those opinions that everybody has. So it's just interesting. It's interesting. You can't do this at Marvel or DC. We can only do it here in CG on these live streams, which is pretty freaking cool. I can't wait to see Godlike drawn by you, Art. You'll draw his women even cuter than John does. Ah, sweet. Yeah. Yeah, one backer away from 23K. Let's get on it, you guys. The John Malin cover is waiting, is eagerly waiting. So just all you have to do is click this link, go over there, tell a friend. Crazy Cat says, talk to Ethan about what night you want to close out with him. Set the date. I already have. Yeah, it's going to be this Thursday, I believe. Let me look at my calendar here. Yeah, it's this Thursday, and I don't have a time yet, but I'm sure it'll be in the evening at some point. Juju feels like the opening up of the world of black and white in a big way. Yeah, I want to create iconic villains too, because your hero is only as good as your villain. And so Jake Chang, who was in the first two, he's cool, but he's not a real visual character. So I want to do like in the rich tradition of James Bond, where all the villains will have some kind of eccentricity, some kind of weirdness going on visually. So, Jake Chang has the robotic eye. He's got the plate on his face. He's got the robotic eye. So it's a cool visual, but it's not a great visual. To be honest, I have some alternative versions of Jake Chang. I can say it now, that are actually better than the ones I used. Um, and I think I just was locked into the original 94 version. So I kept it real close to that. But I had drawn other versions of him later, which are way more interesting. He kind of looks more like Doc Brown from um, oh my gosh, Back to the Future. He's got this crazy kind of Einstein hair and stuff like that. He's got these goggles set on his hair and stuff like that. So he's kind of got this Doc Brown look to him, and he's way more eccentric. But I do think that businessman look worked for the story. So he definitely worked for the story. But it wasn't like a great visual character. But with Sins of the Father, I think Lord Shaken, when you see that guy, full on, not just his face, he's going to be a visually interesting character. Juju already is. I've gotten great feedback from that character. So it's almost like it's kind of like Boba Fett, just based on the visuals. And you say bounty hunter, you're like, oh, that dude's cool, So Juju just kind of worked that way, like the visuals, and then she raises the dead. It's like it just kind of worked and connected with you guys. So she's going to be a great, great villain, and I'm glad that already, without even story context, that it's working, and that means a lot. So I think we were talking about Rob Liefeld. So Rob was a literal kid. Well, he was in high school. I believe he was still in school when I first met him. No disrespect to Rob, but your cover from John Mayo looks way cooler than Rob's cover for She. Well, I mean, different strokes, right? Different folks. So I read that. Sorry. Katie, what's up? Hey, thank you so much for having me on your show last night. I had a ton of fun. I really dig it that you're a big Dolly Parton fan. I've never met a big Dolly Parton fan before, and it's kind of cool, man. I always thought, like, don't take this the wrong way, but Dolly was kind of like the perfect woman. She had like big everything, right? She had big hair, big eyes, big what, and a big what. So she's kind of like the curvy, like hourglass. She's got the big hair. Just really, really cool. I like in the clip that you played, I think they called her Mae West or something like that. I thought that was a cool little callback. Come up and see me sometime. Oh, man. Pedro Ang, what's up, brother? Hello, everyone. Sorry about that, Art. Nah. It's all good. It's all good. It was great seeing you. I'm Fregas. What? I'm Fregas. Frega. The Frega invasion is here. Yeah, Frega, I don't know if he's still live streaming, but he was live streaming. He's doing some doodles, so he's entertaining the masses as well. We got Maromi. How are you, brother? I don't know if I said Marcus Killigrew's name out loud. I like to say all your names out loud. It was great seeing you on Frega's chat. Yeah. Let's see. Art should pop into Katie's show more regularly. I'll like the wacky neighbor who just pops in from time to time. Yeah. I'll be like Kramer from Seinfeld. I'll have to have like some kind of like I just kind of slide in frame. What's going on? What are you guys doing? How's it going? How the hell are you? Maybe if I like lunge towards the camera too. What's up? Nah, it doesn't work. Sleeping Psychopathy says, that was my first time seeing a solo Frega stream. I like it. I like it. So he is Q, huh? Yeah. Like Brooks Gray is kind of the Q character. Yeah. So I like the black and white stuff because when I talk about it, you can see the influences. You can see where I took this from, where I took that from. But it's not like I took one thing and just it is that. Like sometimes you see these IP and it's like, oh, I really like Wolverine. So then they almost make like a complete Wolverine character. Black and white isn't that way. Like it's a lot of the things that I've loved, and it's just kind of melded into one. So there's pieces of Batman in there, Green Hornet, Kato, James Bond, just all kinds of stuff, Star Wars, just about everything you could think of is there. So you know what? Let me see this. I think Christopher just came through. Hold on. Let's see. We might have some really good news. Some really good news coming your way. I'm going to share this bad boy. So this is Black and White Sins of the Father, Volume 3. We are 315 backers. That's pretty respectable. And I do believe we just got a backer. So yes. Thank you so much, Christopher. I do appreciate it. We are at 23,000. It's 2323 in the year 2323. 316 backers. That's awesome. So we are now closing in on 24. We are on our way to 24, and we got 4 days. So if we could do 4 $500 days, we'll hit that 25K. That's the minimum I'm kind of working towards. If we can do better, then that is great. But 25 should basically give me a break even, where I'll be able to pay for everything. And then anything after that will go into keeping the lights on here at Hack Shack Studios. Keeping the heat on. It's crazy cold here right now. Glitch says MI10 or military intelligence section 10 was a Department of British military intelligence, part of the War Office. It was established in the middle of 1940 and was exactly. So it did exist. And so we don't get too much into the detail of it, but that's kind of like where I'm going with it. So one of the things I don't want to do, and I didn't want to do with Black and White, is I don't want too much real world stuff in there, like reality. Like it's based on our world. It's based on real world events, but it's in the not too distant future. And it's a future that's not really like logically worked out. Like I went, like I'm some kind of futurist and I went, okay, where we are now, this is where we're going to be. It's nothing like that. It's more like Star Wars, where you just kind of like just take things from this, that, or the other thing. And then it's like in a galaxy far, far away, where George Lucas is basically telling you, this is not our world. This is not, there's no Earth, there's no Earthlings, there's none of that stuff. So there's nothing to relate other than they look like humans, most of the characters. There's nothing really to relate to the world. He doesn't talk about presidents, he doesn't talk about, Earth at all. So it was very clever, I think, in Inception. And that's one of the things I always thought was pretty cool about Star Wars is it is its own thing. Getting a little dry, So with black and white, I want to do something similar where I don't want it too connected to real world. But unlike Star Wars, it's not a galaxy unto itself. I mean, these are humans, this is Earth, all that stuff. So, but it's not quite the world, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like an Elseworlds tale in that regard. So, in volume 1 and 2, we have, a different type of, president in China. And so we kind of play with some of the dynamics and change things and stuff like that. And what I'm trying real hard is not to use any real like isms like that we have now, like no references to like music or shows, TV shows or movies or anything like that. Although we did, I think in volume 1 of High Octane, we brought in that Whitney likes to watch like tapes or videos of the A-Team. And the reason we brought that in is because Pamela, my wife, is a big A-Team fan. So we can reference things like that. And so we may from time to time, but I remember because Von Klaus was the writer on the first High Octane. And he was bringing all kinds of like references in the dialogue and stuff. And I told him I didn't want to. I didn't want to date the story or anything like that as well. So if we don't do those like contemporary isms, then it becomes timeless, or at least that's the idea, is to make it timeless. And so I do feel kind of bad because we did put that A-Team reference in later, and I told him let's stay away from that. But Pamela really likes the A-Team, so we made an exception, and it works because these guys would still be able to watch those things as long as they still existed. So who knows? Maybe her and her father, Whitney Sung's father, used to watch him when she was little or something. I don't know. But there's ways you can explain it. So Glitch also adds responsible for weapons and technology analysts during World War II and early in the Cold War. Exactly. So it works for the purpose of what we're doing, because this is the future. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to see that the original Mi-10 would have morphed or progressed into this current, robot, anti-robots division of Mi-6. Quick question. Is demonic possession of AI on the table in your world? It has been discussed in real life. Is demonic possession of AI on the table in your world? I've thought about AI, but not really where it would get possessed, since it is kind of like Juju is a technomancer, so she uses technology to raise the dead. So she's got the supernatural abilities, but then she also has this technology. So I kind of like, super science and supernatural. Ooh, super science and supernatural. That's pretty good. Is demonic possession. So this would definitely feed into that, right? This could be like supernatural and technology. I like it. The only thing about AI is like it's not a visual. Um, AI is kind of, it's just this thing. So you get to see how it controls things, but it's not like it's an actual villain per se, like a physical villain. What was that one? There was something with, it was called, was it called Eagle Eye? With Shia LaBeouf or whatever that guy's name is, that actor that went crazy. Um, it's kind of like a thriller, but it gets into AI, and I forget, it was like a female AI, and I can't remember why it goes crazy, but I think it's one of those things like it's programmed to protect people, and then it realizes it can't protect people. Um, so it just goes crazy. It's all, I think it, you know what? I don't remember the premise at all, but I do remember it was plugged into everything. So it could change the lights from red to green or green to red. It could talk to you through like computers, stuff like that. Like it had access to basically the mainframe of everything. And so I forget what its end game was, but it was okay. I noticed that movies don't even try to delve into those things anymore. I think they should, because it's happening right now. So I think some of these movies would be pretty cool, AI going crazy, stuff like that. But don't do the James Cameron, don't do the Matrix, don't do this. It's the same freaking story all the time. So one of the things like with Black and White, I don't want to get into that end of days story. That stuff is so effed out, if you don't mind my language, my harsh language. Um it's it's been done to death, like they were here to protect us, and then they realized that we're the problem. So then the AI continues to eradicate humans, because we're the plague or whatever, or we're trying to eradicate AI, so AI just wants to stay alive. um, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it would happen that way, maybe not. But the thing is, I'm tired of the stories because they always end the same. It starts and ends exactly the same. But what is this, Wilbur? Wilbur. Evil things like drawing art. Evil. Sleeping psychopathy. I saw what you were saying. I just got the sense that he, one, is taking some collateral damage in the late book war, and two, he doesn't. So this is, you guys are having a chat. Doesn't want to talk as much politics as kings do. Are you guys talking about Dan? Fragga. Reed could wear a shirt like Magnus the Robot Fighter. That would be cool. I think Magnus was one of those characters that he suffered from like just bad design. It's kind of a cool idea, but just really bad design, I think. Apex Comics says, I wish these AI movie trailers were actually released. These fun looking 50s style sci fi movies. Yeah, I kind of dig those too. I just sent one. Let me see if I can find it. I sent one to Pamela, and I was like, look at this stuff. Like this is happening now. You know what I mean? Like this isn't, like, we got into AI discussion the other day with you guys. It was a pretty good discussion. I would love to use AI at some point, um, because I could create cartoons. I could, with a small group of people, we could do Chrono Mechanics cartoons. I could actually make a cartoon. That's amazing. That's amazing to me. Where it used to be like something you didn't even entertain the idea, right? You didn't even think, well, I could make a cartoon because how could you? You know, there's Disney, there's Warner Brothers, there's these companies. How could you possibly do it? It takes hundreds of people, it takes thousands and thousands of dollars. You can't do it. But now you could. I could design things. We could scan those in. We could prompt the AI. I could write the stories. We could actually do quick one and done's Chrono Mechanic stories. We could do that right now if I had people that could work with the AI, which is the big question because I can't do that part of it. But hopefully you guys are seeing this. This is what I sent Pamela, and these are just kind of random AI generated stuff. None of this is real, you guys. This is all generated. You know, you guys were like, oh yeah, the six finger people, all this other stuff. But you know, trust me, this stuff isn't even the good AI. I'm sure like Disney, these companies have access to stuff that's way, way more advanced than this. These are not real people. This is like definitely like an old I can't think of the painter's like advertisement uh painting. It looks like it's painted. Like, so there's all these different styles that they're working in. So you can look at the background, stuff like that. It looks like there's brush strokes, things like that. It's pretty cool. Like if we saw something like this even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would just be in awe. I mean, it moves weird, but like I said, look at she's got the crazy eyes. But I love. I'm gonna have to do something like this in black and white, where I get into like an old, like uh, like robot shop, or like a junkyard, like a robot like junkyard or something like that. Because I do love these like retro robots. I think they are so freaking cool. It's so cool, man. I'm sorry, you guys. I know you guys. Some of you guys just hate AI, but I think this stuff is pretty cool. Some of the women have like the crazy eye look, but I kind of like the phony like plastic skin and stuff like that. I think it's kind of cool. It's definitely heightened. You know what I mean? Like, humans aren't this perfect. Yeah, like I said before, this is not real. It's pretty crazy. I think they stay on the images a little too long because they get weird. Like, they start doing like weird, unnatural things. But like I said, like for me, it's just actually generating an image like this. Not so much the movement. I think that will come later. But like I said, I guarantee you that this is the low rent stuff right here. The studios have access to stuff that's light years away from this. And if you don't think those studios are using this and going to use this, you guys are sadly mistaken. This already is a deal changer. This is how things are going to move forward. See, they're like some of the artwork is like print ads and just like like artist renditions. I don't like the artwork here, but the high contrast stuff looks like it looks like a human painted it or something, like it was an ad. This stuff is scary cool. I love those glasses. Like the design work is really cool too. Like even the shirt she's got on. This is like really cool stuff. I wouldn't mind living in this world. If this is the future, then bring it on, baby, because this is way cooler than anything we got now. It's just a flying saucer in the background. She's like, aliens. Oh yeah, Captain Starbuck. She'll fly you to the moon and back. There he is, the dad of the future. uh, I mean, the car is kind of future. It's weird. It's got like an old satellite on the roof. Like there's all kinds of like weird timeline stuff going on here. I dig it. Hey, Dad. Look at those tail lights. I want to drive that car as long as it has power brakes and power steering. Those old cars, man, they had no power steering or power brakes. That shit takes some. You have to be strong to drive those cars. My first two cars did not have power steering, believe it or not, and did not have power brakes. So I remember cars before power steering. You guys are spoiled rotten. When you had to make a U-turn without power steering, holy shit. If you let go of the steering wheel, that wheel would snap back. If your hand was in there, it would take your hand off. That's right, you guys, I'm old. Oh la la. Look at that. Look at that dress. That's so freaking cool. It's like silver. It's like made out of metal. The car looks like some kind of shark face. Like a cartoon shark. Somebody's got to bring the fins back on the back of the cars. Cadillac, come on. Get with it. What a cutie. What a fake cutie. What a non-existent cutie. Remember, guys, this is not real. I want to be alone. Look at that kitchen. Oh, I want to live in this world. Look at that weird head device thing. Look at the plastic skin. It's perfect. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know what they're doing, but that's pretty cool. Some kind of virtual reality. I like the knobs on the sides. I do miss knobs and switches. Ooh, old school bot. That bot has seen some shit. Look at that. That thing's war torn. She looks like she's seen some shit too. A little nervous about that thing. These two right here, they're contemplating putting their kid Kal-El in that ship and sending him to Earth. Oh, the thing. This is just before Krypton exploded, you guys. Look at the gloves. Look at the snaz on that dude. That dude's got a beak and a half. I like commenting on AI. This is the stupidest one. This is dumb. They should have put a little kid in that thing. There's nothing cool about this. Driving around in a little mini car looking like an idiot. That's not cool. That's not cool, baby. It's not even really touching the ground. This is like phony baloney. This is awesome. Ooh la la. Eh. Man, somebody needs to do like a new Star Wars with these like real 50s kind of aesthetics. Oh, Stephen Patterson. I thought that stuff was cool. I thought it looked cool. I know you guys probably hate it all. But yeah, there you go, Apex. Edwin Buzz. I'm just gonna call you Buzz for now on. Remembering to talk to Ethan to set a date to close out night art. He wants to help you. Yeah, I've done that. Thank you for the reminder. Crazy Cat, any word, Chrono Mechanics with Donald. I talked to Donald about it. At first, he was like, yeah, this will be great. But then reality set in. He looked at his schedule and said he can't do it right now. So it's possibly still on the table. We'll see. I'm gonna keep Adam because I think he would be the perfect artist for Chrono Mechanics. RT Bear John Malin will turn in the real cover with a big D on it. Well, let's hope not. Yeah, you guys click this link, go over and back a Black and White Sins of the Father today. Get a high octane adventure. There's 2 books with this campaign. Actually, there's many books, but there's 2 new books with this campaign. So there's volume 3 and there's high octane 2, but you can still get high octane 1 and you can get volumes 1 and 2. So you can actually get, 5 books in this campaign. So you could do get a lot of black and white reading in with this campaign. So yeah, you guys go back today. We did get to 23K. Thank you so very much for that. Let's keep it going. Let's see what Pedro says. Hey, Art, I showed the White Sun logo. I sent to a good friend of mine that owns a brewery. We might have something here. Oh, shit. Pamela and I looked into having kind of like Sung Brewery, like beer or something that you could order. And you can do it, but I don't know, shipping and all that stuff everything becomes problematic when you get into shipping. Let me see. I'm gonna find. Yeah, Pedro came up with a label for the White Sung because if you read volumes 1 and 2, the backdrop of the story is a brewery. And so I don't want to give too much away, but there's a family brew and so it's brewed in China, stuff like that. And so I've always wanted to try to tie things to that more, with Uncle Yi, stuff like that. And so basically the origin of Black and White comes from a brewery. Like it's weird. You just have to read the book and you'll find out the connection. But so Pedro and I were talking. He loves Uncle Yi, and so there's a scene where Uncle Yi's hanging out with Brooks Gray, and so they're having a beer. And so I was like, well, what if we came up with a logo for the beer? Oh no, maybe Pedro just volunteered this. I don't remember how these things happen. But anyway, discussion of White Song beer came up. And so Pedro put this killer label together. So this thing looks so freaking awesome. You guys, there's so much nuanced work that goes into these comic books. You have no idea. For every one, like I'm sure Pedro did 2 or 3 other drawings of this label. You know what I mean? Like there's so much thought work and so much effort that goes into creating this stuff, because I want this to feel tangible. I want this to feel like a real place, and the more little things you can do like this, the more of the reality you're creating. So I thought this was really, really cool. And it's in Pedro's style, so it's even cooler that way. So that would be awesome if we could actually, offer like White Sung Brew in the campaign. So White Sung, yeah, that would be very, very cool. So thank you, Pedro. He always goes above and beyond. So Pedro is really a good ally to have on these campaigns. John Mainline. I got to start calling him that. Yeah, do that. Tell him that Art told you to say that. There's something really nostalgic about that Malin cover. I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, you're right. There is something like low key about it. Maybe it's because Black and White originally came out of Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios, and John started his career off Rob and Extreme Studios. Yeah. Rob Liefeld hatched John Malin. The bean pad. What's up, brother? Yeah, let's see. I hope Andrea knows she can kick Ethan out of bed. Huh? We'll see, man. You know what? The thing is, I never really count on too much from anybody. So, I still have a few days to come up with a plan B. So if we can't have the closeout on Ethan's stream, maybe I can rally, a group of guys and we can do it, on my channel or somewhere else. There's all kinds of options and things we can do. What's this? Torchbearer says Dolly Parton was all about my parents played. Was about all my parents played when I was growing up. Her and Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers, I heard he had a great rotisserie chicken restaurant. I never had any of that. I absolutely love rotisserie chicken. It always comes out perfect. I don't know how. Like you could go to like local Kroger's and you can get a great rotisserie chicken, and it doesn't cost you that much. We spoil our pets. Pamela gets we got Momo Momiji. He was Amanda's cat in California, but we brought him here because her future was kind of like we didn't know where she didn't know where she was going to stay, things like that. So we just brought him here with us. So, but he's technically her cat, and so then of course Arrow, which is our dog, he's a rescue. I hate when people say that, but anyway, Pamela gets a rotisserie chicken, and she just pieces it out. She puts it in some Tupperware, and that dog and that cat eat rotisserie chicken all week long. So we have their regular food, and then we just mix it in. And Arrow is so freaking spoiled. He's so spoiled. It's all my fault. And actually, Momo, I spoiled him too. Like, I had this thing like no pets on the table while we're eating. And so I broke that rule. So Momo gets up on the table now and we feed him. I don't know why, but it just feels like, I don't know, something to do. And so then, yeah, those guys are completely spoiled rotten. So they get rotisserie chicken. I don't do it every morning, but I'll probably 3 or 4 times a week, I'll make Arrow an egg. I actually cook the damn dog an egg and I'll mix it in with his dry food because he doesn't really like his dry food. He doesn't go crazy about it. So it can stay out. But what happens is the cat will eat it. And it's not good for the cat to eat that stuff. So we usually end up having to like store it and then pull it out later for him. And so I would rather if he just eats it. So I incentivize it with an egg. So I chop up the egg and I kind of mix it in with the kibble. And he loves it. And he loves it. So he's spoiled rotten. And also, when we go, like sometimes we'll pick up breakfast or we'll pick up lunch or dinner. We'll bring him with us and then we'll go through the drive-through or something and we order him a hamburger or like we go to McDonald's and you can get just like they'll make an egg. So you can just actually, I think most restaurants will do that. You can just order an egg. So it's just a scrambled egg. And so we give that to him. That's what he got this morning. So spoiled. Let me see. I think you'd be more like Wilson from Home Improvement, Art. Yeah, looking over the fence. You only see me from this. You know what? I have to be honest. I never liked that Tool Time show. I thought Tim Allen's stand-up was pretty good. I didn't think that show was that interesting. Sorry, you guys. I'm spending a little time reading. Back once. Yeah, back once, back often. Get in there, people. Yeah. 39 degrees. It got a little warmer. I may go out. We got a lot of crap because last night it was just cold, but it wasn't windy. The night before, they were saying like we could possibly have got a hurricane or something. So there were some pretty intense winds and it just trashed everything. And if I don't get out there and clean up, it just gets more and more and more and harder to keep clean. Let's see. Dune takes place in so far in the future. Any what is that? Prevalence? I'm sorry. To Earth. Basically, any connection to Earth is no longer reality matters in that universe. Yeah, and I think that's kind of where Lucas got that from. Like there is some kind of there's like royalty and there's stuff like that exists in Star Wars. So I do think he was borrowing a little bit from Dune, but like Star Wars is all over the place. Like there's a lot of references to a lot of different things. We got Rosario. Welcome to the show. Crazy Cat, just make villain robot characters like Nimrod from X-Men. Then you can let get possessed by the AI. Woohoo! Yeah, that's the thing, man. I'm only one person. Like I can't even really think like that because if I start thinking that way, I get crazy because my imagination, you know what, I can just fire this stuff off. So as soon as it gets like right now, as soon as it gets triggered, it doesn't stop, man. It's a curse. So I can't make stuff fast enough. So what it does is it just gets me frustrated, and then it makes me less focused on the stuff I am working on. So in essence, I kind of got to put that stuff on the back burner and then only focus on those things while I'm working on them, because I just can't manifest them fast enough. So yeah, I know I'm a little bit behind. I'm way behind. So yeah, it was Eagle Eye. So it was a good movie because I only saw it the once. I remember enjoying it. I do remember like the reveal was kind of anticlimactic though. Like that 80s show Captain Power. Speaking of that AI, that 50 stuff that I was showing, what was that movie? Something Robots of Tomorrow or something like that. It was kind of black and white, and Angelina Jolie was in it. It looked like all this stuff. Crazy Cat just created the next villain for black and white. Demonic possession of an AI is a fresh twist art that hasn't really tackled into fiction. Stop. My brain's going crazy. Yes, I agree. That's a great idea. Well, send me a short script scene and I could try to draw it with some of those dynamic qualities. Skeleton. So you guys are making some deals. Wait a minute. Are you still my robot idea? My demonic possession? Now I'm claiming it as mine. Copyright. I beat you, Crazy Cat. Santiago says maybe, but demonic possession of an IE is a thing there since the 80s. Yeah, so there. I'd buy that for $1. Man, RoboCop was so freaking good. That first movie. Design, story, execution, the world building, that movie was so freaking good. Pedro says, these are not people. Soylent Green is. Yeah, Pedro hates AI. I don't blame him. It's weird because it's not like I love it. Oh, AI is so much better. It's not like that. It's just like for me, I was like, I could level the playing field, right? Like I could make cartoons, and just to clarify, you guys, I'm not talking about making comic books with AI. There's absolutely no point in that. I can make comic books, I'd rather work with people, even though sometimes they're a pain in the ass, versus like AI generated comics. I don't see any point in that. But I can't make cartoons, but with AI, I can. I can make comic books. Let's see. Violent Comics says AI art is stolen from other people's photos and art. I understand. They use pre-existing material to make it. I know, but with Chrono Mechanics, I would not do that. Like what I would want is I would want to work with somebody that could basically take my world from the comic book, and whatever isn't there for these stories, I would create, and then we would feed them into whatever AI generator, right? So then, and I know I'm asking a lot because I don't even know if AI can do this yet for like people like me that would have access to it. I think the big studios do, but I don't know if just people like us do. But ideally, I would like that, feed the models into the AI, feed the ships into the AI, feed the environments into the AI, all that stuff. So we're not asking AI to generate it whole cloth. We're just asking AI to animate, like, I guess, like, generate the animation, do the color work, all that stuff, and then just go on. I don't know if the technology, I don't know if I have access to that level of technology yet, but it's definitely something I wouldn't mind trying. And like, I don't have millions of dollars to invest, but if I had a core group of guys, and we could do this stuff, I don't see any reason why most people wouldn't do it, and it, for better or for worse, it's here to stay. Soylent Green is AI. That's Donna Reed's sister. Yeah, all those characters, those AI generated women. There is no original AI content. I understand all that stuff. I do. But like I said, everything comes down to ethics anyways, right? There are some people that are humans that will completely swipe other people's work, Man, I'm really getting congested. So, sorry, you guys. So yeah, that stuff exists now. There are people that just swipe things. Yeah, they're all like pinup girls for sure. Crazy eyes mean they're great in the sack art. Met a few, and I don't want that kind of baggage. It's not worth it. Cool bots. Let me see. I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I'm gonna catch up in the chat though. Let's see. Draw in the style of prompt name and artist, and they are in it already. Yeah, so maybe the chrono mechanic stuff is already there. I don't know. I don't really technically know how any of the stuff works. Is it out? Bobby Brown just made a retro robot movie with Chris Brown called Electric State. You know what? Like, I don't know. I'm getting kind of Bicentennial Man vibes from that. Man, that robot design was freaking stupid. That movie was kind of dumb. It was based on the Philip K. Dick stuff as well. It's a great concept. That was a bad execution. Leg Kick One says, I wonder when classic actors are going to be AI movies. It's been talked about John Wayne, Steve McQueen in a movie. So much can be done. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those cars were tanks back then. Yeah, it's weird. Like, my mom she's a tiny lady, and she used to drive a Rambler Nash, and that car had no power brakes and had no power steering. Man, I remember, she just, because you didn't let go of the steering wheel. You had to pull it over. Okay, you got two hands. You always have two hands. So you pull it over, you kind of let it slide in this hand, and then you crank it, and then you hold it with this hand. You let go, because if you let go with this hand, that wheel's going to spin, and it's going to spin back fast. So, I mean, because cars still do that, but they don't spin like they used to. Okay, so you clamp it, you let go, you go over here, you grab the wheel, you bring it back around to this hand, and that's You kind of feed the other hand. So that's how you make like U-turns, things like that. It's crazy. Yeah. Those AI chicks are way hotter than real women, and they don't talk. Plus all around. Uh, yeah. I mean, there's a funky, cool aspect to it. What was it called? There was a, oh my gosh, was it Appleseed? One of those cartoons, and I think they called it Cell Shade, but it was all digital, and it was kind of a hybrid of like 2D, 3D, and there were a lot of people that couldn't get past. They thought the animation was horrible. I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool. I think it was Appleseed. It I don't think it was Ghost in Shell. I think it was an Appleseed cartoon. You know what? I should watch some of that stuff. I dug those. And what was it? It was the Ghost in Shell serialized stuff. It was kind of like a procedural, like cop show. And man, that first season was so freaking good. That Ghost in Shell stuff and the Appleseed stuff is really, really good. Uh, Sure, was a lounge lizard. Alfonso, the Rocket Man. Uh, this is starting to feel like an old-timey smut magazine. Uh, get back in the kitchen. Wow, I'm really congested. Hold on, you guys. Didn't want you to hear that. It does. I've seen it. There is a retro Star Wars on YouTube. There is. I think I showed it on one of my live streams. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I think I've showed it. Yeah. You're up too early, Agent Cub. This is the normal time. Do. We're talking about that retro video that I played. Oh, no, don't even. We are so far beyond the Polar Express at this point. That movie was unwatchable at the time. That movie is I'll just say it's grotesque. Not just the animation is weird and stilted, but the character designs are horrible. The shading, that there's nothing that works about that Polar Express. Yeah, our dog and cat get along. It's interesting though. Both animals are they have the same colorings, so they're mostly black and then have white accents. Yeah, and that was like Pamela Anderson when she was young, and Debbie Dunning. Oh my gosh, Sky Captain. That was it. That was the retro, and that was pretty cool. I think if they would have had a story, a really compelling story, that would have, and the world. I knew it was something with tomorrow. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just I don't think they had a story. It was kind of like that Return to Retro Future, that video that I showed with AI. It was just kind of like cool elements, but it didn't really have a story. It was like they were just scenes that didn't really effectively have a narrative. Yeah, very true, Nick Clark. Sky Captain was one of the first viral internet videos to pick up, made into a studio film. I wanted more for those guys because, yeah, they were just little filmmakers that got picked up. They had a lot of star power too. The story was horrible. I thought that the designs and stuff really fit the world. The world building was cool. What was it? Like Angelina Jolie like flew some kind of like Zeppelin or something. And didn't she have like this what were those cap what are those hats that the military wear? I forgot the name of them. And then she had an eye patch, right? It's kind of cool. I mean, think about black and white. I mean, Gray has an eye patch. Like I just pulled from everywhere. Nick Fury, Agent of Shield. All that stuff. I think I looked him up. One of you guys said something like look the guy up. I couldn't somehow like I can't connect with him. I'm not like friends or something. I don't know how Twitter or X works, but I couldn't send him a private message. I think that's who you guys said before. There's a comics gator named Suit, who's really good at up to date and up to date with AI. Here's his channel. But let me. I think I looked the guy up before. I know. I'm sorry. This breaks my heart. Art. I know. Well, let's get those black and white cartoons going then. Like Pedro works on, like he's working on animation all the time, and he's done a few. We should show those on Pontificators tomorrow night. We might be able to get some backers for High Octane because Pedro did some animatics and stuff for the High Octane stuff. It looks brilliant. It's so good. I'm I just want to be clear. Like I'm not like I love 2D. I love 3D. I can't say I love AI because I haven't really seen anything really compelling other than imagery. But you know, I think everything. Like I remember. Sorry, you guys, my hair's a mess. In the day, when there were digital inkers, they used to call them digital inkers, and all it was a colorist that was making the gray pencil black and cleaning it up a little bit, right? And they called them digital inkers. And I remember being interviewed and asked, like, as an inker, aren't you a little challenged by this? Aren't you threatened? And then, of course, programs came out and it advanced beyond that. So then, like when they call them digital inkers now, I think it is real digital inking. When they first started doing it, I don't think it was really digital inking, but anyways, they would ask me, and I say, it's different strokes, different folks. Like if somebody wants to tell a story and they think digital inks will look better than traditional, more power to them. There are people that like the look of just pencils. They don't necessarily like the inks, or that's the way they want to tell the story. It's fine. Go ahead, do it. Some people like black and white artwork. Some people like it with color. Like there's all kinds of different ways to express yourself. There's all kinds of different ways to use your talents. So if you want to do those things, I say more power to you. I don't have anything against them innately. So that's how I would always answer. If somebody wanted to do that, then they can do that. I'm here. If you want to use my talents, that's great. If you want to do your own thing, then do your own thing. I feel that way about um, like most things, like AI. If you want to generate AI comic, but the thing is, let me backpedal a little bit. Good is good, and bad is bad. So there is bad digital inking, right? There is bad AI. there is, bad coloring. They're good is good and bad is bad. So I judge things more on if it's good or if it's not. Um, so never say never. And so that's kind of my rule of thought. So I'm not really threatened by it. I just figure out other ways around it. So they used to say, aren't you, aren't you a little nervous about this? And I say, no. Aren't you nervous it's going to replace you? No, because only I can do what I can do. No one else can. So I have confidence that, a machine isn't necessarily going to replace me. It might replace other inkers, not to sound arrogant, but it's not going to replace me, because the thing is, I can change on a dime. I can make shit up out of whole cloth. These computer programs can't. I will always be able to spin, and I will always be able to bring my personal take, my experience, how I feel, and I'll be able to bring those into the work. These computers can't. They can't do that. So I'll always have the advantage over a computer. And, having said all this, the thing that I don't like is when companies use technology like this just to save money. I do. That's where I do have judgment, because I think that's a shame. Like, from 2D to 3D animation, I have a lot of friends that do what Pedro does. They draw by hand, like the Bancroft brothers. I got a brilliant Chrono Mechanics cover by Tom Bancroft. He drew my daughter a Mushu. He just drew it for her. We were at a con, and I said she loves Mushu from Mulan, and he was the Mushu animator on that, key animator on it. And he drew it up. It was on her wall in her bedroom for years. I own the thing now because she's just like, man, she grew up. But that guy, he didn't want to go digital. He also had some problems morally with what Disney was doing at the time. God, I think my allergies are really, my eyes are all itchy. Um, uh, so like 2D, traditional animation died. It really did die. But the thing that upset me the most about it is because I believe studios did it because it could save money. And also, those animators, especially at Disney, those guys were superstars, right? So somebody like Glenn Keane or Andre Dejas or any of those guys, Mark Davis in the day, Eric Larson, all those guys. Anyway, you couldn't replace them. They were that good. So it's like Tom Cruise. They were the actors. They were the marquee draw. Even though people that went to see these movies didn't know who those guys were, but the people in the know did. Those studios, Walt Disney, whoever runs those animation studios afterwards, those guys knew. They knew Glenn Keane was not to be fucked with. That, without that guy, you didn't have much. You know what I mean? There were other guys that were really pretty good, but they weren't that good, right? So these studios had to treat those artists like superstars, right? Because they needed them. But then once it went to wireframe animation, where you could get a guy and he basically just kind of manipulated a puppet, then all of a sudden, you didn't have to have that same skill level that, a Tom Bancroft or a Tony Bancroft had to have, where those guys were creating things on a blank sheet of paper. Yeah, that's the other guy I was thinking, Eric Goldblum or Goldberg. He's a genie guy. I got some of his original artwork. I used to collect animation all the time. That's Some people collect comic book artwork. I don't really do that. I collect, or in the past, I did collect animation drawings. I got a stack of just drawings, and then I have some of the cells. But I really liked the working drawings. But anyway, like, they had to treat those guys like superstars, and so studios hate that. They don't like the reliance on individuals, right? They want the collective. They want just a group of a mass of people that they can control. And they couldn't with those guys. On some level, they could, but overall, not really. So they, when they could get rid of those guys, that's exactly what they did. Like, comics is the same way. Like, they don't want another Jim Lee. You know what I mean? Jim Lee is running DC Comics, and he doesn't want another Jim Lee because he knows, because he is Jim Lee. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to create, they don't want to create another superstar, because let's face it, it's a little of both. Like, the way that you can create another Jim Lee is give him a monthly book, give him a high profile book, and then do a reasonable amount of promotion, and let those guys do monthly comics, and they can build a following, and then they can become superstars. I mean, let's not overlook that they have to have the talent, but they also have to have the platform. And so if these companies can take away the platform, then they can treat that superstar talent just like everybody else, right? Nobody stands out. It's socialism, right? Everybody's the same. Everybody gets the same amount of money, blah, blah, blah. But you're never going to get like great work. You're never going to get standout stuff, because if you homogenize the talent, the work's going to be homogenized too. It just follows suit. It's logic. So there is a certain amount of like placating you have to do with talent, and they just don't want to do it. They don't want to acknowledge that. I mean, the whole Image Comics Marvel thing, that's what that was about. It was about treating the talent, recognizing that the talent brings something to the table. And Marvel just didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? They were all about IP. The reason Marvel and Disney fit so well together is because that's Disney. Disney's the same way. It's not the individual, it's the IP. And they're going to die on that hill, and they're already suffering from it. All those books, all the ideas, everything is just homogenized, and it's like what you guys were talking about. AI just borrows from what's already exists. That's all these guys are doing too. Disney and all these other companies, Marvel, DC, they may as well already be AI, because that's all they're doing anyway. They're just rehashing the same shit that they've rehashed, 2 or 3 times prior. Let's just make a remake of Lion King with live action. These are still animated animals. Oh, but they look realistic. What's the point? The point is they can do it, and they didn't need that talent. You know what I mean? They just didn't need it. So they could make these movies without acknowledging any superstars. So it's crazy. So Pedro says the death of 2D was a financial decision. That's in a shorter way of saying it. Yes, 2D was a financial decision. All those masters are really old. I know some of them. We had one of them on Pontificators. You hooked us up, man. That was a high point, man. Thank you so much for doing that. But they are getting up there in age, and the craft is suffering from. One thing we talked about last night on Shane's show, and I think it was Aaron Lepresti was talking about mentorship. Maybe we can talk about this. We can elaborate this on Pontificators tomorrow night. Mentorships. There used to be that. You had the craftsman, the seasoned pro, and there would be younger people that would work with them, and editors did this a lot in the comics industry. Would kind of show the young guys with promise. They would show them the ropes, and so you kind of had this kind of development where there were guys that were kind of brought into the industry slowly, trained, and then given the platform to do their books. And so what ended up happening is you got people that loved the art form because they wouldn't go through this mentorship if they didn't, because it's not easy, right? So you could already weed out the weak just with these mentorships. And so then whoever is strong enough to survive it, like boot camp, then they get the opportunity to shine. You know, they get their own book, or they get a backup story or something like that. And then they work their way up, after that. So there's a way of kind of bringing like the old and new, like Comicsgate is like that, where we got like new guys coming in, old guys like me, giving them platforms, talking about their stuff, like Pedro Ang, bringing them in and giving them a chance to shine. I mean, Pedro's first work, pat myself on the back, was that Black and White High Octane Volume 1, and he's made great comic sense. So, and there was a little mentoring, I mean, because Pedro's open to it, but that stuff used to exist. And I do think that's kind of the key, where Disney, you had the original 9 Old Men, and they mentored people, like even guys like Tim Burton, what was it? Was it Eric Larson? I can't remember, but he was somewhat mentored, his limited time at Disney. And all those guys, they took like groups of people under their wing. Marvel used to have the Romita Raiders. So you had Johnny Romita Sr. that would get the young guys in, and they would work in the bullpen, and they would get paid to do art corrections and stuff, but they would also be learning the craft. Even me, Hack Shack Studios was the same thing. Like I would take guys that had promise. Some of them just had drive and gumption, right? And they came in, and then I had this whole like stair step approach to getting them up, to actually inking and possibly getting enough, hours under their belt that they could go out and make a living for themselves, outside of the studio. So, those mentorships work. I mean, Danny Mickey, the great Danny Mickey, came out of Hack Shack Studios, mentored by me. Trevor Scott, same thing. Jaime Mendoza. There is a list of guys, that came out of the studio. And those things used to exist. Even Eisner, those guys even beyond that, I do believe even people like Kirby in the day, they had assistants. They had people that they worked with. Dick Giordano, Neil Adams, all those guys. Yeah, I know I'm kind of tangenting. I hope you guys are kind of online with me or in step with me, because I'm trying to catch up, because I feel like it's rude if I don't kind of go in here. Art of Roy says, the old Marvel big magazines were done black and white to save money. It's always, well, I know it's always about money, but the thing is they had to work with these people because they didn't have options. So if they could get rid of those people, they do it on a dime. So yeah, trust me, I'm not naive. I know it's all about the dollar, but I don't think, personally, I don't like it. And I don't think it's the best way to go, because I do think in the long run, you are destroying the art form. Okay, case in point. All right. Richard Starkings, I would consider him a friend. We hung out at times of our career. We kind of were closer. Most of the stuff I did in the 90s was lettered by him and Comic Craft. Well, what he did is he ran a studio like Hack Shack Studios, right? Um, and he created a font, and then he could have assistants that would basically type it in and then do the paste up and whatever it took. But basically, he was the talent, and then he could work with people that had less talent that would kind of be an extension of him, which is kind of like Hack Shack Studios. But what he did is he started selling his fonts. So lettering used to be hand done on the board. Like it was considered an art form, like hand lettering on the comic book board was past tense an art form. So then he started selling his fonts. So I'm assuming he profited off of it, but what he was initially doing was creating the death of the art form, right? Maybe it was inevitable, maybe it wasn't, but he was the first that did it. And what he did is he didn't just use it for himself in his studio, he started selling the fonts. So then basically anybody with any kind of understanding of Photoshop or however they were doing those things at the time could letter and look just like Richard Starkings, right? Anybody could have work that looked as good as Richard Starkings. All you had to do is have typing skills and paste up skills or whatever. That's all you needed, right? So essentially anybody could do it. And so, you know, he may have profited from selling these programs, stuff like that to people, but it was limited, right? And then in the long run, the big picture, he changed the entire industry. So nobody was lettering on the board anymore. Everybody would just either the old guys would make their own fonts, they would digitize them, and then they would just go digital, right? Because it made more sense to do that. They could work faster and they weren't getting paid that much anyway, right? But they killed the art form. The art part of lettering was dead now. So, and now nobody even really knows where their fonts are coming from. Like people are using these fonts, who knows where they came from initially, you know? So basically they killed their own industry. I mean, people still need lettering, but anybody can do it, you know? So I never quite understood that, like to make it that easy and then to sell these things to anybody, I thought was kind of short-sighted. So I do think that some of this stuff is counterintuitive for long term. So AI would possibly be something similar. I think 2D, and then with 3D with computer, they did kind of take the art form from the art form, right? So those Glen Keanes didn't exist anymore. Like I can't name one digital artist. I can't name one computer artist that I go, wow, that guy's work stands out. They don't exist anymore. It's you watch those credits in movies, like they go on a mile, they go on for a mile. Like there might be a key animator or something like that, but they're all doing the same thing. It's a wireframe puppet that they're moving. And I mean, if you have some basic understanding, well, not basic, I'm sure these guys are beyond that, but like understanding of movement, human movement, all these things, then you could convincingly animate these puppets. But it's not like generating it from the ground up, right? They're basically, it's like the Nightmare Before Christmas, right? They got like these puppets and they're just kind of moving them, move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture. It's kind of like that, you know? So it's definitely not the skill of the old. So those things that we cherish, like, oh, animation's an art form, is it? Is it really? You know, is there the same level of craftsmanship? You know, is there the same level of respect that you give those digital animators to the 9 old men? or even somebody more contemporary, like, you know, the Bancroft brothers, you don't. You don't, because I'm an animation guy. I don't even know who those guys are, you know, and most of those guys that were that, like Chris Saunders, those guys are like creating stuff now. You know, they're creating How to Train Your Dragon, you know, Lilo and Stitch, Meet the Groods or whatever, you know, all that stuff. You know, that's what they're doing. What is that? The Wicked Robot or whatever it is. Um, that's Chris Saunders. It's a beautiful looking movie, but the story is um, but yeah, those guys still stand out. But those guys were those 9 old men of the time. You know what I mean? Hey, Plan 9, what's up? Yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I'm gonna go back. Let me see what the Bean Pad says first. There was a gap where mentorship weakened around the 60s. Animation skills dwindled quite a bit. Disney was really nervous after Walt died, and then the 9 old men were getting older. But there was definitely they were promoting mentorship big time. You know, they were getting young guys in there and working under the tutelage of those guys, because they realized if those guys pass, all that stuff's dead. It won't move forward. But this is part of what I'm talking about. They needed those guys. Like Disney needed those guys. They don't need them now, you know. Oh, let's see. Back in the day, special effects artistry skill in their field were rock stars. Rick Baker, Stan Winston, yeah, Dennis Muren. Uh, if you were a geek about those things, you knew them. Oh, I knew those guys. Hell yeah. And like people like Dennis, well, all of those guys, they ended up understanding, because they realized that they needed something bigger than themselves. So like Winston and Baker, they created studios, right? And Dennis Muren basically is Industrial Light and Magic, right? I mean, that guy is that company, and so they kind of put themselves in positions where they were not just this talent that the industry could dispose of. They were like driving forces, you know, like Industrial Light and Magic, or like what Rick Baker did, Rick Baker Studios, or Stan Winston Studios, you know. And that's kind of like what I tried to do early on, where Hack Shack Studios was an extension of me. But the problem with Hack Shack was I didn't have the Dennis Muren. You know, I didn't have somebody that could continue it. I tried, but everybody kind of wants to do their own thing. So keeping somebody in that position, it wasn't always about money. It was just that they wanted to do other things outside of the studio. So it's kind of hard sometimes to find that person that not only the mentorship exists, but that they would want to eventually kind of run the studio. And so I realized, you know, after decades, that Hack Shack Studios in this incarnation only, you know what, I should do a stream on just Hack Shack Studios. It only exists because I'm there. Without me, it couldn't exist. And so that's when you start having the realization that this isn't really serving the purpose that you wanted it to, like a legacy, you know, something that could continue without you. So I remember I had a conversation with Jim Lee early on, and we were just sitting having a drink at some party out on, you know, the curb, and we were talking about the industry using people like us up, and we were just starting, you know, but we had hindsight. We could look in, well, not hindsight, we had perspective. We could see, you know, where things would potentially go. And so we came up with two things. Two things. It was create an entity or a studio that could exist without you, or an IP that you create that could exist later without you, right? Those are the two things. And so Ninja Turtles was really big at the time. So we always used Eastman and Laird as examples. Like, look what they did. They created a franchise. They don't make the toys. They don't make the cartoons. They don't do that stuff, but they did create Ninja Turtles. So we were like, that's the way to go. So Hack Shack Studios, believe it or not, was the first one before Wildstorm, before Extreme, before Top Cow, before any of those. And those were my peers. We all knew each other. So Hack Shack Studios started. So I put the studio together. Later, Wildstorm, and so on and so forth. So there was that. And then there was the Image days. Create your own IP. Create your own characters that you own. And so then that was an extension of all that. And those are the two things. And they're still true to this day, if you can do that. And so I think Top Cow might be the only studio that's still around. And I do believe it's because I can't remember his name. He was over at Extreme Studios. This is horrible. But he ran Extreme Studios for years. And then he went over to Top Cow and ran it for Mark Silvestri. So Mark doesn't do the day-to-day stuff. He has this other guy. And if that guy wasn't there, I don't think Top Cow would still exist, because Mark doesn't have the drive to do it. It wouldn't exist without somebody like that. So that's kind of the key. And then Wildstorm, Jim had, I guess it was Homage at first, and then it became Wildstorm. And then Jim I think he realized that it probably went as far as it could go. And so when he put the deal together for DC Comics to sell it, he did. And so also it's kind of like it might be able to exist beyond you if it was connected to something more like bigger than you. Like, it's like, I understand why George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney. Disney is a force. It will still continue. George Lucas is George Lucas. He's got a finite, sadly, amount of time. But Disney can go on beyond that. So it does make sense, if you want your IP to keep going, to do that. He picked a horrible person with Kathleen Kennedy to run things. So that was just a bad judgment call. But it's sound logic, like when Jim sold Wildstorm, like all those Gen 13 and, Wildcats, all those IP could continue to exist in the DC universe. Matt Hawkins, thank you, Glitch. Yeah, sorry if Matt or anybody that knows Matt is listening. Yeah, no, Eric Stevenson ended up taking over Image Comics, and Image is a little different, because I think Eric is pivotal to keep Image Comics going as a publishing company. But I think, like Larson and McFarlane would still use the Image eye, on their books. So I think that would still continue. But I don't think it would be the publishing company. Like, they wouldn't publish other books and stuff like that. I do think that's Eric Stevenson's contribution to Image Comics. So you need that. You do need that guy, to continue. It's kind of like with Comicsgate. It's like Ethan Van Sciver. Like, would Comicsgate still really exist without Ethan Van Sciver? I know I would continue, but I don't, like, nobody puts like Comicsgate logos on their books, or it's not really a publishing company. So, I think it would have been like John Malin, he seems like he's got a pretty good stake in it. I was there early on, so I've said before, I'll retire CG. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you guys keep supporting me, I'll stay here. I mean, I obviously have to feed myself and my family, so you kind of got to go where the money is. But as long as this thing's working, I don't have any plans on leaving. So I would still consider myself CG to the end. But these are interesting questions. I think we should continue this. I know Pedro's still in the chat. We should talk about mentorships, and because you had a mentorship, I know that Clint Helinski came up the ranks. So did Rob Hunter. So I think we have some pretty good perspective, and we could get into that. So that could be interesting. So let me wrap this up. Let's see what Pathmaster says. Don't put all your eggs in one basket unless you have a corporate umbrella. Yeah. I only really did put my eggs in one basket at one point in my life, and that was at Marvel after I left Image and went back to Marvel, and we had little Amanda. So when she was born, I was like, I kind of got to become a corporate guy. I need steady paycheck. I need steady work. So I kind of just was pretty much that. I was like a Marvel guy. I didn't have any plans outside of that. Up to that point, I was always kind of not necessarily a mercenary. That's kind of what we called it, but I always kind of looked, for the next big thing. So when I went back to Marvel, I didn't. And they took full advantage of that. And they fired me and told me I'd never work there again just because they needed to set an example to two power players. That story is documented in some video down the line. So if you want to hear that, just check out my history. Crazy Cat said Art's mentor was the caveman who taught him paintings on the wall. True. No need to apologize. The truth does hurt sometimes. Yeah, I mean, sometimes. I mean, it doesn't always work, but mentoring is a way to keep the art form alive, because you're basically it's the previous generation passing that knowledge down to the next. Finding mentors is hard because sometimes there aren't guys who are like you, Art, or guys like Mike Diodato, Bob Layton, who are willing to give of their time. Yeah, there's always going to be those guys, but who cares? To each his own. Mike Diodato hates us. Caveman Art College. That's awesome. You guys are the best. All right, man. Well, I am going to we're going to go back in. We're going to close this down with possibly the greatest comic of all time, which is Black and White, Sins of the Father. Yeah. Woo. Yes, this book has everything in it, you guys. It's got attractive characters. We got supernatural. We got future tense storyline. We got robot carnage. This book's got just about everything you could possibly want in an action adventure comic. So this is Black and White Sins of the Father, Volume 3. They are back for another epic adventure of family and betrayal. So you guys, with this live stream, we got it to 2323. That will be a good future number. You know, we have 316 backers. We are only 4 days out. We only have 4 days left, you guys. So let's get in. Let's try to get this bad boy to 25K, because if we can, we will unlock the next stretch goal. So that'll be cool. I like getting these freebies to you guys. I like the rewards for all your help. Not only will you get what I think is the best comic that that I could do right now, I'm putting everything into it. You'll also get these cool little extras. And that's the fun part about these crowdfund, is all the little extras and stuff like that. So the further along we get, the more I can make these things accessible to you guys. It just makes it a lot more fun. So yeah, you guys can see the robot carnage. We got a great killer opening scene with I don't want to give too much away. I've talked about it before, though. You know, we got kind of a traditional like Bond villain / Marvel over the top eccentric villain. So we even have the mysterious island and the underground lava lair. And so that's what's happening in this cover. We got like the lava in the background stuff. And Kyle Ritter did a great job with these lava effects. Holy shit, man. Don't ever take this stuff for granted, you guys. You know, there were 3 drafts of the coloring on this book. And I also had Brian work on the cover as well. I just couldn't. Brian's really good, but we just couldn't make it work. So I threw it at Kyle, and Kyle was able to make this thing happen. And I am so thankful, because it's always good when you have a vision. You can't quite do it yourself, but you can find people that can help out. And Kyle definitely did. So yeah, it might look like, oh yeah, so what? You know, there was a lot of thought work that went into making this lava work, you know, not just the drawing itself, because I think there were probably 3 or 4 drafts of that as well to get this thing to work. I do believe I got a bro's input on this. So Graham Nolan did a take. He tried to help out a little bit with the black pose, and I understood what he was doing, but I just kind of liked the openness of it, and just like shooting 2 guys twice, you know, taking a couple guys down, a couple bots down at the same time. I just kind of I like the visual, and compositionally he was probably right, but I still think this works. And then Andy Smith had this kind of it was very subtle, but with the white character, this twist. He was like turn the torso a little bit more, like turn it away a little bit more. And I was like, yeah, but she's turning towards the bot. And he said she's moving forward too, and it'll just look more dynamic. And I think partially there was some head movement change as well. So I thought that one really worked. And I'm not trying. I mean, I am so thankful for these guys' input. So I don't want to make it seem like, oh, Graham Nolan, you know, gave me some bad advice, because he didn't. He gave me some really good advice. But also, last campaign, Joe Bennett did a similar pose as the one that you know, that Graham Nolan came up with. So great minds, you know. It was a good composition idea, but just something that I wanted to do something a little different. So I kept with this pose. I think it really works. I really like it. But Graham's would have worked just as well. Um, but anyways, that's kind of some stories behind the artwork. Here's some interiors, you guys. If you look at the update, let me go to the update. There's some cool stuff in the update as well. So we got some big images. So we got the killer John Malin cover that we added, but we also have the trading card, so you can see that big, larger than life. And let me see. Maybe I didn't post it. Maybe I need to post it. See more updates. Yeah, I got to post it. So yeah, there are some pages that you can see. So you see some work in progress stuff, some line art stuff. So don't hesitate. Go into the updates, because sometimes there's artwork here that I don't put on the main body of the page. It just makes the page too hard to navigate through. So yeah, check out those updates, you guys, for some extra artwork. And let me go back to the main. And so let's get to the John Malin cover. So we got 4 covers with this campaign. We got the A cover, which is the main. We have the B cover, which is outselling them all. And then we have the amazing Carlo Barberi cover. I do believe he's the artist on Spawn right now. So he did the pencils, I did the inks, and then we got the fantastic Coach Grab an Oar, John Malin here. So we just dropped the D yesterday, and holy crap, you guys! I think we're probably close to 40. Let me see, because I know that we're in the 40s now as far as backers that we got since yesterday. But let me see. Okay, so some of those were other things, but 22. So 22 John Malin covers. So John Malin has successfully outdid the Carlo Barberi, which is a brilliant cover as well. So the competition is heating up. Let's see, 71 for the cover B. Like I said, you guys, that thing is doing really, really well. And also, these are all as add-ons too. So a lot of these books have a lot more backers, because you guys have been adding them to your order. And then the main book is only 45. So that variant B is really, really doing well. So if you guys haven't backed that cover B, back a winner. Everybody likes a winner. So that's the winner. And then we have the potential winner. This Malin cover is, man, it is just moving like crazy. So 22 backers already. We have quite a bit. That's probably why it's 40. I haven't clicked on every one of those to see what they backed, but they might be as add-ons. But I think there's close to 40 of those books that we have got backers for. So that is great, you guys. Remember, we only have 4 days left for this live part of the campaign. 316. I'm really, really hoping, cross your fingers, that we can get to that 25K. Like I said, that will pretty much pay for the campaign. And then anything after that will help keep the lights on here at Hack Shack Studios. So if you guys have already backed, thank you very much. If you guys have helped, with shout outs, stuff like that, I do appreciate that. They're always welcome, always helpful. So just thanks, you guys. Like, really, from the bottom of my heart, I can't do this without you. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. Just even hanging out here in the chat with me, keeping me company while I can, help get some eyes on these campaigns. So thank you guys for hanging. I do appreciate everything that you guys do. And I don't know. Let me see real quick. I don't know what we're going to be the subject for the professionals. Yeah, I think Christmas everybody was kind of like the professionals just kind of took a hiatus. So who has the bros tomorrow? I don't know. Aaron. Aaron is let's go. I said, are we broing tonight? And then Andy said, heck yes. I said, sweet. I miss you guys, but not in a gay way. And then Andy called me a faggot. And then Billy sent me a gay guy making a gay gesture. So apparently those guys think I'm a queer. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be on Aaron Lepresti's channel. You never know what Aaron's going to come up with, but I'm going to write that mentorship down. So if I don't use it tomorrow on Pontificators, I'm going to use it on our professionals because so it's Aaron, then it's Andy, then it's me. So I'm two bros away from hosting. So I should do that. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, because he's limited as well. So Ethan has a black and white cover. I posted it somewhere. Where are you? 7-day campaign. Yeah, line art variants. So let's see. Line art variant. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Thanks for the reminder. Art of Roy. Screen share. Wrecked Planet. Yeah. All right, you guys. So this is Ethan Van Sciver, Cyberfrog 2, Wrecked Planet, line art variants. So he is at 17,644. He has 6 days left. So this is going to go neck and neck with black and white. So we have the milkshake cover here. We're back. So the interiors still are in color. So it's just the covers, you guys, that are black and white. And Ethan does excellent detail. And I'm a big fan of black and white line art. Obviously, most of my career has been as an inker. So it's neat to see these. I love color work as well, especially Kyle Ritter's stuff over Ethan's, but it's really nice to see these covers just stripped down. And hell, man, when are you going to get to see Jay Lee stuff with just, straight up ink and an ink wash? I do believe this is all brushwork. So Jay Lee is a master, and these covers look fantastic. And then, of course, the milkshake variant. So it's not a huge campaign. There's a handful of books, so it won't drive you too crazy. So we have the Jay Lee line art A. We got the Jay Lee line art B. We got Our Heroes, which is the Ethan Van Sciver cover. We have the Ides of March, which is also the Ethan Van Sciver cover. It looks like the Jay Lee variant, as far as the black and whites are doing really well. We have the milkshake cover, which is 16 backers, and then you guys are mostly doing all 5 of the covers that are in this campaign. So looks good, man. Everything Ethan does is top-notch quality. So you guys get in there and back today because time is running out. And thanks, Art of Roy, for reminding me. Sometimes I do get tunnel vision. So I do believe it's Aaron Lepresti's. Let me peruse real quick. And Jasper Flatliners. I don't know what you're talking about, what you're relating this to, but that's what Art gets for getting picked up by a serial killer as a youngster. I was profiled by the Freeway Strangler. Yeah, he's a master. He is definitely a master. Art cares a lot about the blacks and the whites. Yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't see color. I don't see color. No grays. The gray is where the truth is, somewhere in the middle, right? What? So late in the game, you guys are all turning on me. I see. I see. Also, names get algorithm. All right, Ethan Van Sciver. Who's the big Donald Trump? You know, Justin Trudeau stepped down. Woohoo! Woohoo! That guy's an a-hole. A-hole. He did it on January 6th. I thought that was a real kind of a real tell. It just kind of worked for some reason. I don't know why, but it just worked. All right, you guys. So one last reminder, Oodles and Doodles and other stuff too is still in demand. That's my art book. This thing is done. Here it is right here. We got the back cover with the Kevin Nolan quote on it. He heaps a bunch of praise on me, which is really, really cool. Here's some of the interiors. It's a quality book, you guys, a quality book. And the link is in the description. Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. This is 40 years in the making. So it's a 40-year career to get me to this point. And it printed up gorgeous. It is a really nice book and worthy to be in your collection. So back it today. Thank you, Crazy Cat. And I'll see you guys later tonight on the Brofessionals.